Welcome into the Game 7 show. It is Monday, May 13th, 3:20 p.m. from sunny Denver, Colorado, 75 degrees, something like that today. I'm your host, Will Satler, alongside Isaac Bugarin for the season finale, episode 16 of Game 7. Met Radio checking in. How's it going, Isaac?
Not too bad, man. Excited to be back.
Yeah?
Very excited to be back. Another week. Episode 16. Wow, the season has flown by, man. Flown by? Flew by? Yeah. Not an English major. I don't know how to talk.
Jason the Jet Terry flew by.
Flew by.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow, what a crazy year. What a crazy semester, I should say. This is finals week, man. Wrapping up season 1, episode 16. Contact us, game7show@gmail.com. Email's always been the same. Facebook's always the same. Twitter's always the same. Game 7 Show, that's what you're watching on live right now. If you're listening, then you're on mymatmedia.com. Follow us on Twitter @_Game7. You can follow Will @Will Satler. Follow myself @Isaac_Bugarin. Thank you guys for tuning in. mymatmedia.com/listen. That's usually where you can find us. And Facebook Live now.
Facebook Live.
This is the second time. Time number 2.
Back to back, like Drake 96-97? Or is that Jordan 96-97? Do you know?
I'm not sure, man.
You got nothing?
I got nothing.
You okay over there, man?
Yeah, man.
Season finale, you look kind of rusty for the season finale.
I'm trying to share some stuff, man.
All right, man. Let's go, man. How you doing today? I'm kind of sad. I don't know about you.
Honestly, I'm still a little depressed.
Yeah,
not gonna lie.
Yesterday was a rough day for us.
The whole weekend, I would say, dude. The whole weekend was a little sad. Well, actually, I went to the Eric Church concerts, so I guess I can't really complain too much.
I don't know, man.
But in terms of sports, man, it was a very rough weekend.
What do you mean? I mean, it was a great sports weekend, bro.
Oh, no. For a Denver sports fan, man, very rough weekend. I mean, Avs lost. Nuggets blew a 17-point lead. I mean, come on.
17-point lead? To a pretty good team, though.
17-point lead at home? We'll get into it.
We will. What are we talking about today?
Talk about, one, the choke of the Denver Nuggets. See that? Like Reggie Miller? Because it was a huge choke.
You actually kind of look like Reggie Miller.
It was the biggest game in Nuggets history, and you blow it at home? I mean, come on. So we're going to talk about that, talk about a little bit more about the NBA playoffs. Let's talk about the Rockies. 2 games under 500. It's May.
The Rocks pile, man. Rock pile?
Rock pile seats? I've sat there a couple times.
You're too bougie to sit up there now, huh?
We're gonna recap season 1, all 16 episodes. Talk about our favorite ones a little bit.
We're gonna talk about all 16 episodes?
Not all 16,
okay.
Just our favorite ones.
Okay.
And then we're gonna talk about the breakthrough. A little bit of Avs coming at you.
Again.
Give me a hint about give me a hint about the breakthrough. If I should know one thing heading into the end of the show about the breakthrough, what should I know?
The window is open. And the future is bright. I almost said the ceiling's bright.
Oh, I don't know, man.
You don't know?
I don't know. I mean, if it's the same exact team that we had last year and we still finished 8th place, we actually had worse stats, I believe, right? Less points, more goals allowed. You finish 8th place. Yeah, you get hot and you beat Calgary, and then you lose to San Jose.
In 7 games. The second best team in the West.
Is the window still open, man? I don't know.
The window just opened. The ceiling was broken. That rhymes.
That's like saying the window's open for the Broncos right now. You really just don't know.
Hey, John Elway doesn't believe in windows, so it's all good. That's not a problem.
Let's get right on into it. The choke of the Denver Nuggets.
Tell me a little bit about it, man.
Oh, man. They blew a 17-point lead in the second half of Game 7 on your home floor. Really? You gotta play this song?
That's how I'm feeling right now, man. That's how I'm feeling. For this whole series right here, this whole segment.
We had a 3-2 series lead. You could have closed it out in Game 6 in Portland. You couldn't do it. You could have closed it out in Game 7. You had your chance. You're up 17 on your home floor in the Pepsi Center.
Do they have tissues in here?
And you choked, man.
This is a really sad episode for a finale, man.
I know.
We need like somewhere at church or something.
So let's just get right into it, okay? Home teams in Game 7 of the NBA, they're 105-28. Do you realize just how good 105-28 is for the home team? Now let me tell you that, and let me say the Nuggets had the best home record in the NBA this season. The best home record. in the NBA. You know the only team to win twice at the Pepsi Center this year?
The Warriors.
No, the Trailblazers.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And it was in this series. The only team to beat us twice all year at the Pepsi Center. Isn't it just ridiculous? And I tweeted about it earlier after the first quarter about how the Nuggets had like an 86.9% chance of winning the game. When we had that 17-point lead, that winning percentage chance skyrocketed up to, guess what it was?
What?
91%.
Do we want to talk about this? Didn't you tweet this yesterday?
I did tweet it, yeah.
Well, so you jinxed it.
I just said it, yeah, I know. We had a 91% chance of winning this game. 91%.
That's 9% chance to lose the game.
I mean, I like those odds, and you still blow it.
How did they blow it?
Well, Jokic is 8 for 21 in the second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. 8 for 21, and he misses a key free throw down the stretch. But he also did that in the 4 overtime game when he missed that free throw in the fourth overtime. I mean, I get it, he's tired, but dude, make your free throws.
I mean,
they're free throws.
You didn't you shoot like 48% in high school?
I did
from
not.
The free throw line?
No, he's
Max
a professional.
Preps.
He's a professional. Paul Millsap 3
He's
for
a
13.
superstar.
Paul Millsap 3 for 13. Jamal Murray 4 for 18. Will Barton, always the worst player on the floor, had a plus minus of -9, the worst on the team. Pretty much the worst player on the floor at all times when he steps onto the court, in whatever playoff series he's playing in. It's just ridiculous. And then our bench, well, I guess 2 players off of our bench, Malik Beasley and Monte Morris combined for 5 points. You want to show me why? You want to tell me why the Nuggets lost this Game 7 at home?
Their bench.
It's their bench, and coupled with your 4 starters that can't buy a bucket, they couldn't hit water if they're standing in a boat.
What? On a boat. You don't stand in a boat.
You stand. The boat's indented.
Some boats are.
The boat's indented.
The nicer boats are out-dented.
That made 0 sense. So the Nuggets blow this lead. They blow a 17-point lead at home, and it makes pretty much all Denver Nuggets fans lose their trust. Because the whole season you're battling the fans. You couldn't even sell out a playoff game against the Blazers. You didn't even sell out games 1, 2, or 5 at home. You're the number 2 seed in the league, and you can't sell out your games, and then you're gonna go lose a Game 7. You want to tell me why you don't have fans coming into the Pepsi Center? That's why they don't trust you. You blow a 17-point lead.
You're really harsh right now.
I wouldn't trust a team that blows a 17-point lead to the Trailblazers, a team that got swept a year ago.
A team that hasn't made the playoffs in 2 years.
A team that's, I hear that all the time. A team that's, no, the Trailblazers?
The Nuggets.
Oh.
Tell me about the Nuggets.
Oh. Well, the Nuggets, you haven't made the playoffs in how long? You're trying to win these fans back, and then you get the number 2 seed.
You make it 2 rounds.
You make it to the second. When you're the number 2 seed, you're expected to go to the Western Conference Finals. You're expected to win the lower part of the bracket. Because you're the number 2 seed. If you're not thinking of going to the Western Conference Finals, you're wrong.
I think your expectations were too high. This is a team that was the youngest team in the playoffs. I think there was 3 players that played in the playoffs before, so no experience. You have a budding superstar in Nikola Jokic. You have Jamal Murray, who, if he finds his consistent game and has improved in his last 3 years, like he has, will be an all-star next year. You have Paul Millsap, who hasn't stayed healthy in his 3 years in Denver, and he's finally starting to get healthy. You have Will Barton, who got a max contract and struggled. When he was healthy, the first half of the season was good, and then when he came back, was not the same player. You had a bench that played out of their mind in the regular season, but had never seen the playoffs. So we talked about this earlier in the show. Your ceiling was an NBA Finals, and I said Western Conference Finals was their ceiling. I think this is the right place for this team. Regardless if they were a 2 seed or not, remember they were a game ahead of the 3 seed, Portland.
Yeah.
So these teams were close. It wasn't like they...
Yeah, they're close, but you're 3-1 in the head-to-head.
That means nothing.
And the one game that you lose, you lose on purpose. You play your second string and you almost win the game. You got to play your third string to lose the game.
The regular season means nothing when it comes to the playoffs, and I think they found out about that. This was the first time Michael Malone's ever been in the playoffs. It's the first time. So, yes, I'm sad. Right? That's why we're playing the sad music.
Yes.
But at the same time, this is the start of something huge, right? We talk about windows, and we'll talk about it later with hockey, with the Avs. But this window has just opened, and it's going to be open for a long time.
Okay, I agree with that. The window is just opening.
So,
but when you have that window, okay, if you have a 3-year window to win a championship, you want to win all 3 years.
100%. And don't get me wrong, I'm not not disappointed that they didn't win. Like, I'm super disappointed, and I knew they should have won this series. They should have won Game 3 and a quadruple overtime if they used their bench. Again, that might show the lack of experience from Malone in the playoffs. They should have won Game 6 if they just played better defense. They should have won Game 7. They're up by 17. Again, we kind of saw it in Game 7 against the Spurs. They they were riding pretty strongly through the first half of that game, and then all of a sudden they found some struggles in the fourth quarter, right? They battled. So I think this is huge that, they got this experience. This is the window opening.
Okay, so this is the window opening, and I get your point, and I really do. I hear it. But when you're the number 2 seed and you're battling critics all year long saying that you're a fake team, you have a fake superstar, and I saw tweets all about it yesterday.
Frauds.
They're frauds. And you come out and you lose in the second round in Game 7 to the Portland Trailblazers, and when Damian Lillard doesn't even score more than 20 points in almost every game in the series, and you blow a 17-point lead, then you're a fraud. What do you expect?
What are your
You played the worst possible game you could play
in Game 7?
In Game 7.
What are your takeaways from this playoff run so far? What were the good takeaways?
Good takeaways is that you got the experience.
Exactly.
That's about it.
So let me put it a little bit into perspective here. Think about the Golden State Warriors before they started their dynasty. What did they do the first 2 years?
They got bounced.
Heartbreak, right? The first year they got bounced. The second...
No, well, they didn't have an MVP candidate.
Steph Curry won an MVP.
Stephen Curry, he wasn't the MVP in those first 2 years when they lost. Was he? No.
True, but he was awfully close.
He wasn't the MVP until 2 years later.
But is Jokic the MVP this year?
No, but for all the talk saying that he has the potential to be an MVP this year and last year.
But they said that about Curry too.
No, they weren't saying it when they got bounced in the first couple rounds.
We'll have to check the stats on that.
I don't think he was.
But my point, put this in perspective. Think of the heartbreak they endured.
Okay.
Okay. They went and win a championship with Curry. Then they go and have a 73-win season, best season of all time, and they get bounced after leading 3 games to 1. Another heartbreak scenario. What have they done the last 2 years? Won an NBA championship.
They won NBA championships.
Name a NBA team or any team in sports that has won a championship without facing adversity and without facing a heartbreak. Remember, like you said earlier, the Blazers got swept. They had lost 10 straight playoff games going into this year before they beat OKC in 5. So they had to battle adversity too. So there's your starter point.
But here's where it's different, is that Portland. This team's not even healthy, and you lose to them. They don't have Joseph Nurkic, who was a former Nugget. Yusuf Nurkic.
Did you just say Joseph Nurkic?
Jusuf?
Yusuf.
They don't have Yusuf Nurkic.
Jokic.
Ennis Cantor his arm is basically should be in a sling.
And he's not eating or drinking or sleeping.
So, you lose to this team. Damian Lillard doesn't even drop 20 points.
Which
you
shows,
get lit up by C.J. McCollum.
But think about this: they're 2 great players, right? That shows game planning, right? They shut Damian Lillard down.
It's saying we're not going to let Damian Lillard beat us.
And it didn't work. It happened. It's sports. So where is their bounce back going forward?
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, obviously, I think I'd say Thomas will re-sign in Boston. I don't think he's going to stay as a 10th man on this team.
Yeah.
Juancho Hernan-Gomez, I think he's restricted. They'll keep him.
I don't know.
Trey Lyles, again, I think is restricted, and I think they will keep him as well.
No. All 3 of those guys are probably going to get the boot.
Because?
There's no room. They want to play. There's no need to keep on this roster.
I think that
Plus, if you get rid of him, you're making a spot for a max slot.
as much as we'll get into that, as much as Paul Millsap has been a disappointment for his contract, I think they'll restructure his contract and he'll find time on this team next year.
I wouldn't say he's been a disappointment.
He's
He's the highest paid player, but he's also remember Denver has to overpay for their superstars. Remember, like we said a few episodes ago, it was the last big name free agent to come to Denver. I mean, Chauncey Billups doesn't count; he was in a trade. So the last big name free agent was
Andre Miller.
exactly. And was he a big name free agent? Not well. Maybe back then he was, but right now, no.
Another bright spot for the Nuggets, Michael Porter Jr., who has said today in exit interviews that he will be playing in the Summer League. That can be an X factor. If he plays Rookie of the Year ball, that's that small forward that they've been missing. That spot in the lineup. Like, that's a lockdown defender. That's a guy that can shoot the three. That's a guy that can get to the hole. That's a Kevin Durant kind of player.
Exactly.
So that is a very, very bright spot if he's healthy and ready to go. I mean, he kind of lulled the Nuggets to sleep, right? He planned this year when he was drafted not to play at all this year.
Well, when you're drafted at 14, the Nuggets got a steal of a pick anyways.
Exactly.
So
another Tim Connolly with another great play. And I think this is going to be a big offseason. I am not opposed to what you said. Barton could be traded. He doesn't fit into this bench lineup, and I think that goes with a little bit of the struggles that Monte Morris and Malik Beasley faced. Trying to put a scorer, a guy who has to have the ball in his hand, into that bench lineup that was predominantly about running and passing and getting the ball out in transition, it kind of messed up the flow, and I think that's why Monte struggled, because he wasn't the point guard in that lineup. So
exactly.
I think Barton and Millsap will both have to redefine their roles. Jokic is going to continue to grow. I'm sure he's going to work a lot on his stamina or his health throughout the offseason. Not that he necessarily needs it. Thank you. Jamal Murray is going to get healthy. Again, he was dealing with a lot of injuries. You could tell last night that he was battling. Like, he was running up and down the court. I saw Alfredo Camino beat him in a race down the court.
See, but this is the part that I don't understand. Okay, if you're healthy or if you're playing, you're healthy. If you're playing on the floor, we are assuming you're 100% ready to go.
Not in the playoffs.
No, more in the playoffs. If you are on the floor, you're expected to perform.
Correct, but it doesn't mean you're healthy.
Well, nobody's healthy in the playoffs.
That's what I mean.
But when you're on the floor in the playoffs, you're expected to perform.
Oh, 100%.
Everybody's dealing with injuries.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. You say Barton walks or Barton traded, Millsap walks. There's a max slot open.
Yeah. So Paul Millsap, we could pick him up for $30 million next year, which I highly doubt the Nuggets will do. Even though you have nobody else to pay this offseason that's currently on the roster. So and essentially, if you pay him the $30 million, then it's like, hey, Paul Millsap, here's your money. Go ahead. But if you're gonna say, hey, we want to open this spot for a max slot, and you let Michael Porter Jr. run the 9 or run the 4, then and then because we're gonna run a 9-man rotation next year, I think. So if you let Barton walk, that's $12 million off your books. You let Paul Millsap walk, that's $30 million off your books. Now you got $42 million. Plus you're letting Isaiah Thomas, Juancho, and Trey Lyles go, right? So now you got space for a max slot. I know that's a lot of players that you're missing, and there goes your entire depth. But you're running a 9-man rotation again next year, anyways.
I don't think they will not accept the team option on Millsap's deal. I don't think that's going to be done.
No, there's no way.
So they're either going to restructure or let him go. And I think they'll restructure. That's 4 of your starting 5, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It really depends on how.
Torrey Craig, Malik Beasley, Monte Morris.
All quality players off the bench.
Yep.
There's your 3-and-D and Torrey Craig. There's your point guard that
Gary
can run
Harris.
the defense. Gary Harris is a starter, I think. And he's shown growth. If he can just stay healthy, he's going to have a great season. And that's another big thing. Mason Plumlee, again, he's a good – so they're not far off. A piece or two off.
And that's where you say, okay, if you let Millsap walk, then you go after a max slot player. And then you have room for Kawhi, which I don't know if he'll come to Denver. Kevin Durant, which he probably won't come to Denver either. Or Klay Thompson, Kemba Walker. Those are just 4 that I named off the top of my head. Klay Thompson, I could actually see coming to Denver, and Kemba Walker, I could see coming to Denver also. But there's no need for a point guard.
I mean, you could honestly move Kemba to the 1, Jamal goes to the 2, Gary jumps to the 3. I could see that. He just doesn't fit into this offense.
Yeah, exactly. But you win the trust of your fans.
So
by going out and saying, "Hey, we just got a max player."
This is a very deep free agent class. Don't forget Al Horford's a free agent. Julius Randle's a free agent.
And those are 2 guys that we don't need. 2 guys that wouldn't fit in our system.
Julius Randle would fit in the system.
Oh, I think we run too fast of an offense for Julius Randle and Al Horford.
Well, Al Horford, no. And I don't think he'll leave Boston. But another former Atlanta Hawk from that team that was the number 1 seed and lost.
Yeah.
But those 4 names, it just doesn't seem possible with whatever they've done. 2 seed or not, second round, game 7 or not. Like, it doesn't seem logical.
Well, to me, you had to have made the Western Conference Finals to show free agents that you're a legit team, that you're a legit contender. You had to. And the fact that you lost in game 7 at home by 7 or below a 17-point lead to the Trailblazers, that doesn't show that you're a legit team. That doesn't show that you're an elite team. You're the number 2 seed. And you're not elite because you can't win a game 7 at home when you're up by 17. And it's because they were playing timid, afraid. They weren't playing to win the game. They were playing to protect the lead. And when you play just to protect the lead, you blow it. Thank you for cueing the music again.
They blew it. I think that's enough Nuggets talk for today. We'll save that for season 2. Off-season talk. Moving on to the NBA playoffs. We just have to let this breathe for a second. Just let it breathe.
Bright and early for the daily race.
Had to let it breathe. Moving on, NBA playoffs, the rest of the NBA playoffs. The Blazers move on to face the Warriors. Quick note here, I have a odd feeling that the reason why Kevin Durant isn't playing right now not only has to do with his calf, but because of his contract that he's going to get in the offseason, and not with the Warriors. I think that has a bit to do with it.
You don't need to rush yourself when you're playing on a team with 3 other superstars.
Yeah,
and potentially 4.
They showed they could win.
Exactly.
But
and not just win, but win in a statement win.
Yeah, against a very good Rockets team, who I feel like a lot of sports writers kind of just brought the house down on them after losing 2, 3, 4 straight years, I guess, to the Warriors. The world is not over for them. They're gonna make it. Who knows? Maybe they have the cap. They don't have the cap to sign a big free agent.
They don't have any more money.
So
the team that they have right now is the team that they're stuck with.
Chris Broussard thinks that the Rockets should trade Chris Paul for Ben Simmons. That would be an interesting trade, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
so,
it's not going to happen.
But breaking down Blazers Warriors game 1 tomorrow night in Golden State, the last Western Conference series in Oakland at Oracle, whatever you want to call it. Do CJ and Dame stand a chance against this team without KD?
That's the key. Without KD or with KD. If Kevin Durant plays, this series is over in 5. But obviously, he's not playing in Game 1. He's very questionable for Game 2, so he's probably not going to play until Game 3 or Game 4 in Portland. Can
I break this down? Before the year, I feel like we talked about it every show about what the playoffs was going to look like. And you weren't afraid of the Clippers. They were nothing. And I feel like so far in these playoffs, the only team that's given the Warriors a run for their money was the Clippers. Yes, Houston won 2 games, but I don't feel like the Warriors were locked in. I think they were bored after what they did in the first 2 games. The Blazers and the Clippers are very 2 similar teams. They like to shoot.
Well, they went 2-2 in the season series.
Right. So they split the season series, and so there is reason to believe without KD that the Blazers can beat this team.
There's reason to believe that, yes.
And that's because Steph has not been consistent through the playoffs. Clay has not been consistent through the playoffs. KD has not been healthy. So if Portland is able to steal a game, one of these first 2 games, because I don't think KD will play in the first 2 games.
No.
If they're able to steal a game in Golden State, and they might be able to get 2. If they get 2, this is their series. If they get 1, they have a chance.
I disagree. If you go down 0-2 to the Warriors, you're not going to win this series. You have to win at least 1 if you're Portland. But even if you win 1, I still don't think I still don't think they win, because I still think Golden State's going to win at least 1 in Portland. So as the Trailblazers have to win at least 2 in Golden State through the 4 games in Golden State, assuming it goes 7. You have to win at least 2 of them in Golden State.
Yeah, there's reason to believe that this can go 7 games. I mean, what is the Blazers' weakness right now? They don't have big man play.
Exactly.
What do the Warriors not have? Big man play. I mean, their best player that's not
Boogie Cousins is expected to come back.
in the finals, not the Western Conference Finals. It's a 6-week timetable, and it's been 3 weeks.
No, they just announced literally yesterday that Boogie's expected to play in the Western Conference Finals. So Game 3.
I don't think it's going to happen. And if he is, he's not going to be Boogie Cousins.
I'll take a hurt Boogie Cousins over a Andrew Bogut.
You're crazy. Warriors in 7, Blazers in 7. Who are you taking?
I'm gonna say Warriors in 6 because I don't think
that was a really soft pick. You could have done anything else.
What? Warriors in 6.
Okay.
You expect Portland to win 2 games in Golden State?
Warriors in 7.
I don't think this series goes 7. There's no way this series goes 7.
Flipping sides, Bucks Raptors. This series I think will go.
This will be a great. I will watch every second of this series.
Who can stop Giannis?
Kawhi, maybe. He's the best player on the planet.
Do they match up though?
Maybe. Kawhi Leonard's the best defender on the planet.
Kawhi has made an argument that he's the best player in the playoffs right now. So.
And Giannis, you can say the same thing about Giannis, minus 2 games maybe.
Yeah, well, same thing for Kawhi.
Exactly.
I mean, every player recently. There's no LeBron James in these playoffs.
Thank God.
The Bucks were 3-1 in the season series versus Toronto, so I think that will be irrelevant because season series are irrelevant. But just keep that in mind that the Bucks dominated the season series, and I don't know how many of those games Kawhi Leonard played in since he was kind of in the back-to-backs. He didn't ever play the back-to-back. But moving forward to an NBA Finals rematch, or not a rematch, but an NBA Finals matchup. Golden State was 0-2 versus Toronto, and they split the season series with Milwaukee.
Ooh.
So it might not be as much as a cakewalk for the Warriors as it might look like, or it looked like at the beginning of the year. And Portland split both series with Toronto, 1-1 with Milwaukee too.
Well, let me tell you the X factor in this Bucks Raptors series. One, it's going to be Kyle Lowry. If Kyle Lowry can actually play, I'm not even going to say at a superstar level like he should be. If he could play at a decent level to where he shoots 45%. If he could shoot 45% and have 8 assists, they win. It'll be that simple.
I forgot about him. He's been so quiet these playoffs.
Exactly.
So
You're not even looking for a superstar performance out of him. You're just looking for somebody that could compete with Bledsoe.
Raptors in 7. That's my call.
Ooh, you think Raptors could win a Game 7 in Milwaukee?
Yes.
Ooh.
And Chris Middleton leaves for Denver.
Whoa, that was random. You just threw that one out there.
Who knows?
No, I'm gonna go Bucks in 6 again.
Bucks in 6, okay.
Bucks in 6.
And then so you would have Warriors Bucks. Who would you have winning that?
Warriors.
And
6.
Okay, then I would have Toronto, Golden State. Oh wow. Depends on how healthy Durant and Cousins are.
Does it matter? You got the 2 best shooters on the planet.
I'm taking Toronto in 6. Game 6. Because Kawhi is the Warrior killer. Remember last year?
He is.
Was it last year when Pachulia, Zaza?
Well, Kawhi gives Kevin Durant fits.
Mm-hmm.
He gives him absolute fits.
Mm-hmm.
So if Kevin Durant is playing, then Kawhi Leonard probably shuts him down. But if Kevin Durant's not playing in the finals still,
it's a cakewalk, 5 games.
Then yeah, I would say
he's gonna play in the finals.
He's there to get his 3 championships.
I hope so.
Unless he's already seeing dollar signs from the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Rockies time, man.
Let's talk about the Rockies. Let's talk a little bit more closer to home. Let's talk about them. We probably know a little bit more about them anyways.
I can't play any sad music for the Rockies because they're kind of working their way back.
I wouldn't say that.
Better than 3-10, Brad.
They were 4-4 on this homestand. When you got teams against the Giants, games against the Giants, Diamondbacks, and Padres, and you have 4-4.
You're not supposed to. Yeah. I mean, no, I agree with you. You have to win. You have to be over 500 at home.
The elite teams win their home games.
Because think, if you have, 82 games at home, you win 50 of those, and you split your season on the road, that's 80 games, 82. You can win more or less on either side.
You win 91 games.
Yeah. So.
You win your home games.
Win your home games. 19-21 so far in the year. They are.
6.5 back of the Dodgers in first place.
Is this an off day or do they play in Boston tonight?
Off day today.
Off day tonight. Boston for 2. Red Sox, Fenway Park.
It'll be an interesting series. Kyle Freeland is on the bump tomorrow night against Chris Sale. It'll be a big game.
That'd be cool. Is that Tuesday night baseball? Is that a thing?
I don't know.
That'd be a cool series to watch.
Fangraphs has the Rockies at 10% chance of making the playoffs. The Dodgers are at a whopping 97% chance to make the playoffs. A year ago, numbers were totally different. Dodgers were sitting below 50%, and the Rockies were sitting well above 40%.
Well, haven't we learned about Fangraphs, what it means? 83%, 90% last night. How did that work?
That wasn't Fangraphs. That was ESPN last night.
Didn't
Nuggets.
Tankathon say the Avs had an 18% chance for the first pick? And where they're picking? Fourth? Are you using graphs?
Fangraphs also has the Rockies at a 1% chance to win the division.
Mediocre. I'm not going to believe the stats.
I mean, I wouldn't let. I agree with them. A team that's 19-21 right now. You're the Rockies. You're a team that made the wild card last 2 years, and you were supposed to get better this offseason. From everybody that says they got better, everybody else besides me that says they got better or claims they got better, and I still think they didn't get better. 1% chance. I totally agree with it.
There were some bright spots from this homestand. They did put up 12 runs in back-to-back games against the Padres.
Okay, so the offense finally showed up. Yes.
Yes. So the offense finally showed up. Charlie Blackmon finally showed up. You're trying to take credit for that.
I do take credit for the Charlie Blackmon heating up, because literally when he hit that walk-off home run, I was in my living room, and I've said it before on the show. I was in my living room, and I was telling my mom, hey, he's going to strike out, and when can I start to boo him? Can I go to tomorrow's game, and can I boo him? And then what does he do? He takes like a 2-2 pitch and hits it about 420 feet.
What'd you get your mom for Mother's Day?
Flowers, perfume, a card, and a massage.
You gave her a massage, that boy?
I didn't give her a massage. I got a card so she could go get a massage.
Nice.
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms.
Late Mother's Day, belated.
Happy belated Mother's Day.
Happy early Father's Day.
Yeah, I still think Charlie Blackmon is. I'm the reason Charlie Blackmon got hot, because I jinxed him. It was a positive jinx. Okay.
Would that mean that you're the reason Brian Shaw?
I would say Brian Shaw the same thing, right? Because I was talking bad about the bullpen. I literally was like, hey, this Rockies bullpen is gonna make me want to drink. They're gonna make me an alcoholic this summer, man.
Yeah. Although Brian Shaw didn't look too. So the game against the Giants.
That was his first bad outing.
But at the same time, you could say the same thing. Kyle Freeland didn't have a bad start. I mean, he had how many runs? I think he gave up like a 1 earned run and 4 runs.
I think it was 3. Yeah, 3 runs total over 5 innings.
Yeah, 2 drop fly balls. Just not a good defensive performance. But and that's something to say about this team is like they haven't been the defensive rock that they'd been for years past. Not
when you have Gold Glovers. Well, you have a Gold Glove infield minus Ryan McMahon,
who has been playing pretty good defense.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, Trevor Story should be getting a Gold Glove this year. Nolan Arenado is probably going to win a Gold Glove every year for the rest of his career, as long as the Oakland A's don't transfer to the National League. So Nolan Arenado is probably going to win a Gold Glove every year for the rest of his career. And then you have outfielders who the errors that we saw that day was Tapia and Desmond. And Desmond is still struggling in center field. Who, God, I hope they take him out of the lineup soon.
I mean, he's hitting over 200. He hasn't been half bad. I mean,
I could hit over 200 in baseball.
No. If you make the argument, your Fangraph, his statistical, like, all the things that say he's hitting balls hard and he should be hitting well.
Yes.
Say that Ian Desmond should be at least a 250 hitter. He's not. So he's running into some bad luck. But
I mean, teams just know where to position him at, because when he came in as a Rocky, when we first signed him to that contract, he was a very much an opposite field hitter. He was, hey, I'm gonna do the same thing that DJ LeMahieu does. I'm just gonna look to hit the ball opposite field,
inside out,
right? And so he got so used to saying, hey, I'm gonna hit the ball opposite field, that now he can't pull a ball. And that when he does pull a ball, he's pulling an outside pitch and he's rolling over on it. So now his batting approach changed from hey, let me try to force balls to the right field, to now let me try to pull everything and try to fool this defense. Because now when they're shifting him, they're shifting to the opposite field. But now that he's trying to pull everything, they're like, oh, we'll just pitch him outside and he's gonna roll over on every ball. Yeah, he'll hit it 94 miles per hour, but he's gonna hit 94 miles per hour on the ground.
Into the ground, yeah.
So,
And I'm not alone in thinking that their best lineup, the best outfielder lineup right now is Charlie in right, Dahl in center, and Tapia in left. The way Tapia's been playing.
I still don't think Charlie Blackmon is the best right fielder for this team. I still don't think he is. He's a defensive liability. Put him in left field where the throw's not as long to second base, the throw's not as long to third base, and the throw's not as long to home. He doesn't have to cover as much ground in left field. I don't know what it is about Coors Field lights, but I don't think the lights are as bright in left field. I would hope not. Because, gosh, you see him miss 2 balls. Let me catch it like this. Oh, right off the tip of my glove. He's a defensive liability. He's slow to the baseball. His arm strength isn't near as where it should be for a right fielder. When David Dahl is faster, has the better arm, and can read balls better. And his route efficiency is much better. Put David Dahl in right field, please. At this point, I'll even take Ian Desmond because at least he's fast. And he probably has a better arm than Charlie Blackmon, too.
Yeah. The bullpen has been a surprise, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Wade Davis is 6-6 in save opportunities, but he's also 1-1 on the year. He did lose that game this weekend against San Francisco. I don't remember. San Diego.
Yeah. But his problem is that he just lets runners on.
Yeah. No. And even in the game in San Francisco, the snow game, he gave up some runs. So he's gonna be all right. It's Wade Davis, but I mean, it's just that way it goes.
That's his only problem is letting runners get on base.
Think about the spring May, and he's only got 6 opportunities so far. So
exactly.
I mean, and 6 opportunities out of 19 games. So that means 13 games they're either blowing teams out or he's just not performing. So there's that. They got to be over 500 by the end of May, 100%. They got to be over 500. I don't think being within 2 games by June 13th of the Dodgers is possible.
I think it's possible. When you got the Dodgers have games against the Padres, Giants, and Arizona and Diamondbacks all this month, so I mean they're gonna lose games, and hopefully Giants, Padres, Diamondbacks win some. Hopefully, let the Rockies make up grounds on the Padres and the Diamondbacks, who are both sitting in front of us, and we're tied with the Giants, or 2 games above the Giants. I mean, I would hope that those teams can pull off at least 1 or 2 wins here and there, and the Rockies could get hot in May. That's the only way you're going to be able to do it, but it has to happen. You have to win when the Dodgers don't. Give me 6 games, and I'll take 4 of those games and win when the Dodgers lose. Other than that, let's just stay even.
7-game road trip now. 2 games in Boston against the Red Sox, who are starting to play like the champs again. I think they could split it, but I don't think they get both. 8-game road trip. Did I say 7?
Yeah.
8-game road trip. They have 3 against the Phillies, again in Philadelphia. I can see them getting 2 out of 3, but it's most likely they'll get 1. And then the Pirates, who are playing pretty good, they've never played well in PNC Park, so 1 out of 3. So, I mean, it's not going to get any easier for them.
Exactly. So you expect to go, what is that, 4-4 on this road trip? 4-4 and stay mediocre, stay below 500? You got to get to 5-3 this road trip. If the Rockies are serious, you have to get to 5-3. You have to get to 500 at the end of this road trip.
Which would be a successful road trip. I think they got to be at 500. They got to stay around 500. If they start to float below, then they're going to really be in some trouble. But if they can stay at 500, whether they're above or not, at least get to the All-Star break at 500, they have a chance to compete for a playoff spot. Whether it's division or not, if you're at 500 by the All-Star break in the National League right now, you have a chance.
I wouldn't totally agree with that because the Dodgers are going to get red hot really soon.
Okay, and the Dodgers will win the division, but for a playoff spot, the Rockies just have to be at 500 by the All-Star break.
No, you can't be 500 after July and expect to make the playoffs. Because you look at the teams that make the playoffs, how many games do they win?
But
90. So you're expecting to be 9 games over 500 from July, August, September?
Right. That's 3 months where they just have to win 8 more games, which is very, very possible for a team that is very streaky.
It starts right now. Let me say this. Because, okay, so you have your next 8 games, right, against all the East Coast. If you go 5-3, then you're at least to 500, right? And then you're going to come back to Colorado and you have a 10-game homestand where you have 3 against the Orioles, 4 against the Diamondbacks, and 3 against the Blue Jays. And do I like our odds against the Orioles? I mean, I feel like that's a sweep, right? And then 4 games against the Diamondbacks, you got to go at least 3-1 against them in that 4-game series. And then you have 3 against the Blue Jays, who hopefully you go 2-1, if not sweep them, right? Mm-hmm. So then now all of a sudden you're looking at what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you're looking at a 8-2 homestand, and now you're 8 games above 500.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again.
Or 6 games above 500.
It was a little different when Ian Desmond was hitting 086, but they need to make a move, and it's got to spark some energy. Yes, this team has a good base. They have a good commitment to each other, but they're missing that extra piece, right? They're missing something, that extra momentum. And last year, it was Kyle Freeland. It was their pitching rotation. It was that extra that made them different.
And that's the difference this year, is that the pitching rotation isn't doing as good as it was last year. That's exactly what I said at the beginning of this year. I said you can't expect your pitching, you can't expect your starting lineups to do the same exact thing that you did a year ago.
Right. So they need to make a move, whether it's a trade or a free agent. There are still free agents out there.
Or call it.
So Brendan Rodgers, Colton Welker, Peter Lambert.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Colton Welker and Brendan Rodgers, but there's just no space in the infield for him. I mean, Brendan Rodgers is hitting like over 400 over his last, 10 games in Albuquerque? He's killing it right now. But there's just no spot in the lineup for him. Because then you're going to pull Ryan McMahon. Or if you put Ryan McMahon to first base, then you pull Daniel Murphy.
So that's the thing. Like, if you're saying that you shouldn't bring these people up, then you're saying that those people in those positions now are performing.
And they're not performing.
So then what's your point in saying not bringing these guys up?
Well, you can't pull Daniel Murphy because you're paying him $12 million. It's the same argument as Ian Desmond. You're overpaying him. You have to play him. You're paying him what? How many millions? He's one of the highest paid players on the Rockies.
Correct, but if you want to make a difference, then I think that's where you got to make a move. You got to take a chance. They got to take a chance. They've kind of been steady, not making any moves.
Oh, if you're going to call up a pitcher, you're probably going to call up Jeff Hoffman first.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's right there. So
I mean, he just had like 10 strikeouts yesterday in Albuquerque over 6 innings. Stellar outing.
They're close. They're 1 piece away. Just like the Nuggets, just like the Avs.
Don't sugarcoat it. They're not 1 piece away. They're 19-21, 2 games below 500. They're more than 1 piece away.
2 games.
And the Dodgers are 6.5 games up.
6.5 games. That's all it is.
And they're going to keep winning. And if the Rockies don't step up over this 8-game homestand or 8-game road trip and 10-game homestand, you're probably going to be sitting at least 8.5 to 10 games out by the end.
Did you believe that the Rockies were going to compete with the Dodgers at the beginning of the year?
Heck yeah, I did. But I also said the Rockies were going to miss the playoffs, and I still stand by that. That they're going to peter out in September. Because this team's not legit. This team is a fraud, just like the Nuggets. They're a fraud. They're not legit.
This guy's mental health, man. He's really sad.
Dude, I do not believe in the Rockies. I do not believe in them. I'm a diehard Rockies fan. Yeah. I don't believe in this team. The starting pitching is struggling. Kyle Freeland is your ace, and he's struggling. I'm a big Kyle Freeland guy. Gosh, man. The Rockies are struggling. Today. Right? Your starting pitching sucks. Your lineup is struggling. You're 6.5 games out. The Dodgers are red hot. You got an 8-game road trip where you don't play good at PNC Park. You don't play good in Philadelphia. The world champs in Fenway.
Let it breathe, man. Let it breathe.
You better watch out for the next 2 weeks, man, about me.
Yeah, I'm worried about you, man.
It's just...
Someone checking out this guy. Too much Art Church, man.
Dude, just... It's tough to be a Rockies fan right now. A team that everybody said would win the division? Or at least make noise? Make it tough on the Dodgers? A team that got better this offseason? Who I still don't think they got better. And that's exactly what it's showing right now. Every team in the National League got better except for the Rockies.
Do you have any good thoughts about the Rockies?
Bullpen's pretty good. Or at least decent. I'll say that. Nolan Arenado's hitting, 320 almost? Charlie Blackmon's hitting 305. I like that. Trevor Story's playing stellar defense. You still need to find a catcher.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's move on.
Are you done being sad?
I'm not done. I'll be sad for the next week talking about the Nuggets and the Rockies.
And the who?
The Rockies.
You started to say somebody else. Who are you talking about?
The Avs.
I don't have the song ready, otherwise I'd play it again.
Oh, man. Tell me all about the Avs, and please change my mind about why this Avs window is opening.
Well, you didn't call it the breakthrough.
Welcome into the breakthrough. The breakthrough. Da-da-da, da-da-da.
Is that supposed to be Sports Center?
Yeah, bro, because we're big time. We're Facebook Live.
Because ESPN puts Sports Center on Facebook Live. Could you imagine?
They do. They used to. Do you remember the show called The Six? It was the 6 o'clock Eastern show with those two anchors, and then they pulled them really quick because they got really political. What were their names?
Yeah.
So they pulled them because they got really political. It showed at 4 p.m.
I didn't remember.
Mountain time. I used to always watch it. And
Getting
they
sidetracked, man.
Yeah. Welcome into the breakthrough. Will, we're going to talk about the Avs, and please change my mind about why this window is opening, and I'm still probably going to try to argue when you're done.
This was never Colorado's series to win this second round
With
against
San Jose?
With San Jose.
Okay.
They never even should have smelt the playoffs. They went on a disappointing stretch run, losing 18 of 20 games through February, including 8 in a row at one point. The Avalanche would end up winning 8 out of the 10 to finish the season and sneak into the 8th spot in the West, but they should have never smelt the playoffs. In the year of the wild card, where not a single wild card team lost in the first round, the Avs upset the top-seeded Calgary Flames in round 1, serving as the second biggest upset in the NHL. Hello, Columbus, who upsetted one of the best teams in NHL history, Tampa Bay. They took a Sharks team that finished third in the West to 7 games and had a valid argument that an overturned goal in the second period on an offsides call altered their chances at a spot in the Western Conference Final against the Blues. The time for Colorado to win a Stanley Cup, or multiple, is now, and it could never be more apparent. What better time was it for the Homie Baker winner, the best player in college hockey, an Avalanche offensive defenseman sensation, Cale Makar, to break into the scene and steal the hearts of the fans of the burgundy, white, and blue. The Avs are in the NHL's driver's seat, coming off back-to-back playoff wins, back-to-back playoff runs, and hold a plethora of prospects, as well as this year's 4th overall pick in the entry draft. Colorado's core of Nathan McKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, Philip Grubauer, where's your Gru at?
Gru.
And now Makar are locked up for years to come under relatively team-friendly deals. Tyson Jost, Samuel Girard, and Colin Wilson all showed great promise in this team's playoff runs and look to be key parts of future playoff runs. There are some things head coach Jared Bednar and executive vice president of hockey operations, wow, that was a mouthful, Joe Sakic, need to clear up this offseason, like returning restricted free agent Mikko Rantanen and drafting at number 4 in the entry draft. Keep in mind that another thing that could affect the Avalanche's window is the 2020 expansion draft that looms with the addition of an NHL team in Seattle in just a season. The Vegas Golden Knights just a year ago, they swooped their riches, I guess it was 2 years now, in the most recent draft, riding the polished players they received to a Stanley Cup final and pushed the Sharks to 7 games in their first round this year. Sakic and co. made a splash last season acquiring Grubauer from the defending champs in Washington. So I expect them to make another power move, unlike the team down the street over at Mile High Stadium in Denver.
I don't think you needed to throw the Broncos in there at the end of there.
I had to, just because this story was about windows and ceilings, and John Elway doesn't believe in windows. So
okay.
He doesn't, man.
Well, yes. Okay, but first let me ask you this. The expansion draft is rigged.
Yeah.
It is a lot different than the expansion draft of years prior, to where teams were not, I don't know the exact numbers, but teams weren't allowed to protect near as many players and from the expansion draft. So literally they were allowed to protect, like 6 or 7 players?
It's confusing.
Which gave the Vegas Golden Knights a chance to protect, a chance to pick pretty much all of these really good players and pretty much make a team built on 6 men, and they were able to shine because they played well together. They got hot. Hockey's a game of who's hot. So I think that a team coming into Seattle is definitely going to change the Avalanche playoff window. But I also think that I wish I had the numbers in front of me to talk about the Avs, but they finished with less points this year than they did last year.
Did they make the playoffs?
Yeah, they made the playoffs.
Does it matter how many points? How many points did the Lightning have?
I couldn't tell you.
How many rounds did they go?
1.
Exactly. So points really don't matter, whether you did it last year or not.
They do matter, because that's what determines your rankings in the playoffs. You win, you get points, you make the playoffs. You get the higher seed. You get home ice advantage.
But would you say that about the Rockies? They won more games last year.
They won more games, and they ended with the same result almost.
They lost in the playoffs.
Exactly. So did they get better?
I don't know. You're using points as an argument, and I don't think it's a good argument.
They also didn't score near. Well, they didn't score near as many points, and they finished in the same spot. You almost missed the playoffs. And you also had a stretch where what did you talk about it? Losing 18 out of 20 games.
In February.
And this team got better? This team is supposed to be better next year? Why? I would hope so. It's hard to get worse.
Yeah, true.
I'd hope they don't have another 18 out of 20 stretch. You know? That's my argument is they finished with less points. Their offense isn't near as good for having the three-headed monster. And you still finish with the 8th seed. It's exact same spot as last year. Yeah, you get hot, you beat Calgary. But it's still the same result. Did you get better? No. That's my argument. Go ahead. Whatever you want to say.
I don't have to talk.
I'm so negative today.
We're going to get copyright strike from Gary Jules.
Yeah, we probably are.
Well, stop being so sad then, man. Recap season 1, man. This is the end of season 1.
Woo, now this is the time to get excited. Recap season 1. Well, we started February 4th. We started February 4th. That was our first episode. February 4th, episode 1.
Really?
Where we introduced ourselves. We said who we are.
Who am I? Who are we?
Who are we? We are Isaac and Will. Yeah, we've done.
We got away with that. We had the intro.
Yeah, I mean.
We didn't have video to start.
Yeah, we didn't have video.
We weren't live on Facebook.
We weren't live on the radio.
We're not anymore. Exposed. He tries to hide.
May 13th, man. We've grown a lot as hosts on this show.
On the show, yeah. Not height-wise. You're still 5 foot.
Hey, man, don't make height jokes. They don't know how short I am.
They can tell because your camera's like up.
We also had the emergency episode. Do you remember that? When right after Bryce Harper signed that mega contract?
Yeah, that was a crazy 3 weeks, right?
It was like a crazy week when Manny signed, Bryce Harper signed, and then Nolan signed.
Yeah, that's crazy to think. We went through that whole offseason and we're like, they're never going to sign. It's going to take forever. And then
boom.
They're all signed now. And we're just halfway into the season.
Wow. Time flies, man.
Time flies, man.
16 episodes. So we had the emergency episode. My personal favorite is the Scottsdale episode. We traveled to Arizona.
Oh, man, that was kind of fun.
That was really fun, man. Traveled to Scottsdale. Did a show from our hotel. Do you remember how we did that? We literally played music from my laptop, and I turned it like, you know how we fade music in and out here and there, or fade comments, whatever. We literally did that in Scottsdale with my laptop and with our phones.
What song did we play?
I think we played Kenny Chesney's "Summertime."
What did we close with?
Oh, Old Town Road. Are we closing right now?
No, I just want to play this in the background while you talk.
So yeah, we played music in the background of the Scottsdale episode, and you couldn't. I don't know if you could hear it or not, but it was there. I think it was there like almost the entire show, right?
No, there's no way.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't gone back to listen to it.
Why not? It's your favorite
it's my
episode,
favorite
man.
episode. It's my favorite episode more so because of the memories.
What about the humming episodes?
Oh, was that episode 3?
2 and 3, or 3 and 4. There was 2 of them, but there's one that was really bad.
Yeah, where you had the
Oh, it was worse than that. You make a bad humming. What about the guest episodes, man? Shout out to our guests.
Yeah, Damian Bauer was a guest. Tucker Reiko was a guest.
Reporter of the Year.
yeah, shout out to Tucker, Damian, Lakers fan, which is cool. It's actually cool to get an interesting Lakers take from him because I don't know much about the Lakers other than it was LeBron and Lonzo's team.
LeBron and Lonzo's team, man.
It's not Magic's. It's not Genie Buses.
Rob Pelinka?
Yeah, man.
Hey, side note here. I think that they did a great job hiring yesterday. We didn't talk
They didn't
about.
have anybody else to hire.
Wow. They didn't talk about the Cavs got a new head coach today.
They did.
They signed Michigan's coach Jim Boeheim.
Yep.
That's a great sign. I like that. I think that's going to be a great play. I think Vogel, right? That's who it is. Jason Kidd as an assistant coach.
Yeah. I like Jason Kidd. I always liked him as a player. I definitely like him as a coach.
Yeah, I like
and
that.
if he had a better shot in Milwaukee, then 100%. I mean,
if he has the same team, bro.
exactly. It's the same exact team.
But not to say Mike Budenholzer's doing a bad job either.
Oh yeah, he's probably the coach of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So.
So good things in the NBA. It's gonna be a great offseason, man.
It's gonna be a great summer.
Yeah. It's gonna be really sunny.
So talk about the season. Where does this show lead us to in the future, and what does the summer look like for us, Will?
Have we talked about your future with Met Media?
I haven't said it on the show, but we've talked about it like personally.
I know. Do we want to talk about it? Yeah, let's talk about it. Brag about yourself.
Okay. Well, what was it? Last Monday, it was announced that I will be the sports radio director for all of Met Media. So pretty much we have 27 shows through Met Media, and there's 10 of them that are about sports, and there's another 4 that kind of talk a little bit of sports here and there. So now I will pretty much be able to in somewhat produce them, but I obviously I'm gonna like they have the freedom to do what they want, talk about what they want, but I will now be basically showing them how to do Facebook Live and how to work in the studio and help produce the show and
all stuff we taught ourselves, right?
Yeah, exactly. So everything that I've been able to take from this podcast and this show, and now I'll be able to show it to 10 to 14 other shows, basically, so which I'm very excited about. This
whole lineup will be, and we'll still have our show. Our show's not going away. Yeah,
exactly. Our show is not going anywhere. We'll still be here, likely on Monday or definitely over the summer.
I want to do Mondays still. We'll figure it out. Because I'll probably be here for Tuesdays.
Well, I think what we want to do is have 2 episodes a week this summer in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And be able to do like some remote shows where we talk from wherever. If we're at Coors Field, we talk from Coors Field. If somehow we were at Mile High Stadium over the summer, we'll talk about Mile High Stadium, talk about the Broncos, about the Pepsi Center, talk about the Mammoth. We'll talk about the Mammoth.
I mean, I have no idea where it's going to go because we didn't think it would be here where we are now. Nobody would have thought that you'd be sports director. Nobody thought that, I'd write one article for the Metropolitan
and
then next week I would be the sports editor for the Metropolitan.
Also, I think this summer you might also see some changes in our video about possibly being able to do shows from the TV studio, be able to get some. We'll be right next to each other, being able to talk.
Yeah.
Multiple camera angles, which will be cool. Being able to produce a show like that.
Like First Take, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You can finally have your takes like Stephen A.
Stay off the weed. That was so cool. We did not plan that. I think there's gonna be some changes coming this summer, but they're gonna be very good changes. I think. Very excited to kind of to wrap up season 1 and get season 2 underway.
When did season 2 start?
Next week.
Heck yeah, bro.
Season 2 starts next week. Next Monday, probably.
Monday.
As always, we're gonna wrap this up here about now. We've had live guests. Always welcome you guys. Please send us a text message if you have our personal phone numbers. Say you want to be on the show. I know some people are already interested in coming on. Ben Cloutier, I thought he was coming on today, and then I don't know really. I really don't know what happened.
Did you give him a shout out right now?
Yeah, shout out Ben Cloutier. He's probably not even listening live.
He flaked on you?
Yeah,
nobody's listening.
He flaked on you. You're the one that said he was coming on.
I just said maybe.
At least he's not a Lakers fan or Dodgers fan.
Yeah, he was really ragging on the Nuggets yesterday, so I think I would have just had to play that song the entire show if he had came on. So I think it might be a good thing.
We would have been the same. Ben and I, he'd be sitting right here. We'd be the same. So I think season 2, we really want to get some more guests on the show. Obviously, now we are Facebook Live. We have the ability to take phone calls. We're very excited about that. This summer, being able to move into a bigger studio, being able to move into better video equipment, it's going to be awesome this summer. Thank you, Met Radio, for hosting us. Email us, contact us, ask us questions, game7show@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook at Game7Show. Follow us on Twitter at _Game7. You can follow Will at Will Satler and myself at Isaac_Bugarin. Find us on mymetmedia.com/Game7. You can listen to us live on Facebook. And usually we'll be posting this podcast right after we finish.
It's a long one, man.
So yeah, that
We
was
went over an hour. Wow.
Holy cow, we did.
And we started late and went over an hour. That's pretty nice. No drop frames. That's a good thing.
Nice.
Anything
And-
else to say, man?
If you're adopting a pet, please go to the shelter first. That's all I got.
Save the dogs.
Wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the mama sang us to sleep, but now we're stressed out. Wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the mama sang us to sleep, but now we're stressed out. We're stressed out.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Did you end the video before you posted the
Huh?
before you did the clip, the last clip?
Yeah.
Damn, dude. That's like the best part.
Yeah, but you don't. Someone was watching at the very end.
That was me. I clicked onto it
Oh.
just to see if it was working. That's how I knew